Good evening, folks. Ron Motta welcoming you to, I think this is our 301st show we're
Are
doing.
you serious?
The hits just keep on coming, I'll tell you. And who we have tonight is my co-producer and so forth. This guy has been with us. When we started Activate Worcester, those 8 or 9 years ago, if you see the silly little logo that I have on my shirt, it's three heads. One was Chris, I'm the second one, and the third is our old buddy Sandy Williamson, who's moved on to Georgia. And the three of us were sitting on Chris's his veranda, if you will, and just, kibitzing about how unhappy we were about a lot of things that were going on. And rather than just venting our spleen, we thought there's got to be a way that we can kind of share this with other people. And that was kind of the genesis of how Activate Worcester began. And since that time, we've had lots and lots of political things, a lot of local issues. We've done some sports. We've done a number of different issues. But the thing we're going to get into tonight, because I think it's particularly relevant, is this tool that's sitting on our little table here, okay? It's called a firearm. And there is a big movement in this country to get rid of them for whatever reason. At least the legal way of handling these things. And
What?
basically we're looking...
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I don't know what I
The legal way of getting
Yeah.
rid of our guns?
What we're looking at
not gonna
is
happen.
both the First and Second Amendments basically being shattered, and in essence destroying the Constitution, which is really the goal. First time I ever heard that, a number of years ago, there was a woman that was being interviewed on TV, and she was talking about the fact, quote unquote, that the Constitution was, an outdated document that was put together by white males, and they were slaveholders and blah, blah, blah. But that was, in the 18th century. We're in the 21st century and so forth. And, it's time we basically shredded it and redid it. Okay, well, that's nice. That was the first time I ever heard it, and it shocked the hell out of me. Oh, that young lady that I'm addressing almost became president of this country, and is probably throwing hard in the bullpen, to use a sports metaphor, getting ready for 2024. And if those, you're still not sure what I'm talking about, the lovely Hillary Rodham Clinton, okay? That's where she was at. And she was kind of the stalking horse for this. And if you look at what's been going on in this country for the last X number of years, the Constitution is under constant fire. And that's our founding document. That's the basis that this country was built on, plain and simple. And as we've developed, now freedom of speech is not what it was 3-4 years ago. And along with that is the Second Amendment. And what I'd like to have Chris kind of bring us up to speed with is what is in fact happening with the Second Amendment, with our right to protect ourselves, and with the red flag laws and so on and so forth. How does that impact us? So go. You have a black belt in your knowledge of what's going on.
No, I don't have the black belt.
Yes, you do, with the litigation.
Jared
Jared
Yanis, Guns
he's
and
not here,
Gadgets,
you
he
are,
has
so-
the black belt, and we should get him on the show sometime.
I'm with you, but
Okay.
for now, let's do
Okay,
it.
so what's happening now with the Second Amendment is outstanding. It's long overdue. The Bruin decision, when they were dealing with that in the courts, they put a whole bunch of other gun cases on hold because they figured what
Again,
came out of Bruin would
Bruin
affect all
decision,
these
explain
other lawsuits.
Explain what the Bruin decision was.
It was the New York State Pistol Association, or Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. And in New York, you have to prove a special need to get a firearms permit, to get a concealed carry permit in New York City. And that meant that you weren't getting one. It was impossible to exercise your rights in New York City. Of course, then, unless, because there was a scandal a couple of years ago, that there were police officers selling permits. You know, if you greased their palm enough, you could get one. You grease the right politician's palm enough, you can get your firearm permit. But pretty much, the general public, impossible to get a permit. No one's going to get it. So only a few elite that could pay money want to get them illegally, or new people in high places.
And this is in a legal mode. Street guys can pick up guns left and right.
No. You're kidding me? But they'd be breaking the law.
Oh, they wouldn't do that.
Oh, okay.
I've got to think about that a little bit. But
Yeah. So
Continue.
basically, the Supreme Court put a bunch of other cases on hold, and they said, here's the decision. New York and many other states can't do that. You have to give people their permits, because the tradition, what's normal in a tradition in the United States is that we all have a right to carry a firearm, and we don't have to prove a special need.
And that's again in the, what do you call it?
The
It's
United
in the-
States Supreme Court.
But it's
Still
in
is.
the document.
Constitution.
The Constitution. Thank you.
Second Amendment.
There we go.
Yeah, the liberals will tell you a lot of things about that Second Amendment that simply aren't true. Like Maura Healey and these other attorney generals that don't like our rights will say, well regulated. But it's supposed to be regulated. Sorry, guys, but the meaning of well regulated at the time of the writing of the Constitution meant well trained. They wanted every American to own, and in fact, the Massachusetts Constitution, we don't have, it's not called the Constitution, it's called the Organization of Government and People's Rights or something like that. They actually have requirements in there that say a certain amount of powder and a certain number of lead balls should be an adequate supply. You should not only have a firearm, but you should have an adequate supply.
To protect yourself.
Just to be a citizen.
That's right.
To be a good citizen, you must own one of those, because we have a great new citizen that everybody learned about in Indiana a few days ago. A young gentleman, 22 years old, Elijah, and his spelling is kind of interesting, Dickin. He's a 22-year-old that decided to go to the mall with his girlfriend, do a little shopping. He gets to the mall. Apparently there was a mass shooter sitting in the bathroom for like an hour when they reviewed the video. He was sitting in a bathroom for like an hour, getting up the guts to come out and start shooting the place up. Okay? And he came out and he shot a husband and a wife and another person. They all died. He injured a young kid that got hit by a jacketed ammo. There's like brass on the outside, lead in the middle, and when you hit something with it, the jacket tends to tear away and the lead mushes up and falls to the ground. But the jacket is lighter weight and it will tear off and it can fly at you. And the edges of it are very sharp. So this child probably got a little bit of jacket on the wrist or something, and they probably just removed it and went to the doctors and like sterilized it. Maybe she needed a stitch or something. I don't know how badly she got hit by the jacket. But it's a minor injury. She was treated and released.
But the other three, they're injured.
The other three are dead.
Far from minor.
So Mr. Elijah Dickin turned and engaged from quite a distance, according to the chief of police, and shot. He did what he had trained himself to do. He shot and shot and shot until the threat was neutralized. And in this case, the mass shooter was killed. The chief of police was grateful that he was there. People that were at the mall were grateful that they were there. When they reviewed the closed-circuit TV cameras that monitor the food court area at this Greenwood Mall, they could see Mr. Dickin engaging, moving towards the subject, moving towards the threat.
Not running away.
Not
like
running away
Uvalde.
like the Uvalde police did.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusted. Men that are paid and get pensions to protect the public ran away in a school.
While
Okay.
kids are being butchered.
But they're the only ones that should have guns in the liberals' minds. Only the police and the military should have guns. You've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. When the only ones that should have guns are the police and the military, what is that called?
It's called communism.
No, there's
No?
another name for it
Okay,
too.
let me hear
It exists in communism, but it doesn't necessarily have to be communism. When only the police and the military have guns, it's called a police state,
Police state, okay, yeah.
because the police can do whatever they want, right?
No feedback, nothing coming back at them.
That's right. They can knock on a door and be sure that behind that door, be pretty sure that behind that door, those people can't protect themselves from whatever you want to do to them.
Now, the shooter that you're describing in Indiana, as you know, I've been away for a while and I'm a little fuzzy on a couple of those details. What was he using? What did he have, an AK or something?
He had a Glock. He had another rifle. I think he just had a standard modern sporting rifle.
But he had a rifle and he had
It
a
doesn't
pistol.
matter, Ron.
I'm just curious.
What was it, an AK? Was it an AR? Oh, we bought a band those. No, a rifle is a rifle. There's no special thing about an AR. The reason why the liberals want to ban ARs is because it's the most popular and the most versatile rifle out there. In Massachusetts, you can't have an adjustable stock on one, but in other states, you can have adjustable stock, which is great because you can telescope the stock in, and your child can be trained to shoot it. And then you can move it back out for the adults. And you don't have to buy multiple weapons.
And what it doesn't do is turn it into a machine gun.
No, come on.
Or the 300 capacity that our president has said, those things can have a 300 capacity.
Let me say something, and I don't want to make this sound like I'm attacking him. I'm just stating facts. Our president is a moron who's been on the payroll for 48 years and has never done anything. He's never accomplished
Doing
anything.
a lot now.
He's not accomplishing anything. He's destroying things.
Yep, absolutely true.
Okay? And those are facts, my friend. Now, red flag laws, you know, if you believe in red flag laws, and my own brother, who's a retired state trooper, believed in red flag laws. He thinks we should be able to take someone's guns away. You know, in Massachusetts and in many places, you have plenty of ways to already do it. Do you understand what a thing in the Constitution called due process is? Due process says you should be able to face your accusers, face a court, face people before you lose your rights. Now, if a state cop has a belief that somebody's a threat and they can prove it, then they can go to court, see a judge, get a warrant first, and then go seize their guns. They can talk to the police chief and say, listen, this guy, he's got problems. But this can't be that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report. All these things are Minority Report. That's a scary movie. Because you know what? I think Ron's going to commit a crime. I think he's going to go home. He's going to get his gun. And he's going to go down the corner. And he's going to shoot some guy at the gas station he doesn't like. So we're going to take your guns away. Because I think you're a danger.
So in English, you're guilty until proven innocent, if you look at it that
That's
way.
what red flag is. It's a violation of your rights. But these liberals in these liberal states do not care. In fact, they're trying hard to get red flag passed at the federal level. And it's illegal. They already have a red flag law for people in the military. I don't know. That sounds like it's a bad idea. But listen, if you're working for the military, you're working for the military. They probably own the gun they take away from you, so they can do that. But that's the military. You cannot compare military actions and military regulations and laws to those in the public. And it was many of our founders that said the greatest danger to this country is a standing army. You know, so, you know, can't trust the police, some of them maybe, not all of them. You can't trust the military. They need to be reined in. When Obama was president, he was going around giving military equipment to all the police departments, all the United States. So, they're the big bad guys now. They've got armored personnel carriers. What do you need those for? They pay lots of money to maintain these things, and they only use them at parades.
Pretty much.
right?
Yeah.
Or if the SWAT team has to go somewhere, they ride up in this cool vehicle. But nobody's shooting at that vehicle when it's going down the street. It's dystopia. This is a bad dystopian novel that we're living in.
Yeah.
But the Supreme Court pushed back. The Bruin decision has wide sweeping impact. Many, many states that were requiring you to prove that you need a license to get it, the governors have now said, nope, no more. In Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker, he's a leftist nut job who took money from Moms Demand Action funder, Michael Bloomberg, who was given endorsements from Moms Demand Action. It's an organization that's founded on lies. And I mean, their reaction to Mr. Elijah Dickens shooting and saving people's lives was, he shouldn't have had a gun. Elijah Dickens shouldn't have had a gun. So Shannon Watts, the head of Moms Demand Action, thinks that life would be better for those people in that mall if Elijah Dickens wasn't there to neutralize the mass shooter. He shouldn't have had a gun. He shouldn't have access to these types of weapons. What? Really? That's what Shannon Watts had to tweet after this incident.
It's hard to believe.
They're insane, Ron. They're absolutely out of their minds insane. She's paid by Bloomberg to do this. Does she even believe any of this? Does she even have the mental capacity to understand what she's saying? I don't think so. She got hired to do this job because they said, oh, they like the way she looks. She needs something to do. She's a mom with nothing to do. We'll pay her all this money and she can run Moms Demand Action. So there's just puppets above her telling her what to say and what to do. And these puppets are the globalists that want to disarm you. Because once you're disarmed, they can do anything to you that they want to.
That's the plan.
Right?
That's the plan. Well, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to something the other day that they were talking about the real patron saint of communism, which of course was Marx, and I don't mean Groucho. And
I don't mean Groucho. You haven't heard that line from you many times.
He was against industrialization. That was the devil to him. Okay, and the thing that really, really aggravated him.
Right, because they want to keep everybody on the farm.
Well,
keep them in small villages where they couldn't have free time to realize what the government was doing to them.
But the thing of it is, he saw this thing going on, especially in the United States, even back in those days, that this society was like moving forward with bullet speed compared to what he was used to, okay, in his lovely corner of the world. And unfortunately, what's happened, he's had many, many disciples who have carried that forward. And, you know, this is where he was coming from, and that's where the quote-unquote progressives are today. This is it, plain and simple. It's an unbelievable thing.
But somebody blew up the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, okay.
You want to talk about that?
Nope, go.
So the Georgia Guidestones, I don't know who started them, basically the globalists or somebody. And there's these stones that are advice on how to run the world.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
I'm tracking, go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep going.
You know where I'm going?
Yeah, go ahead.
You've heard of them.
Yes,
Well, basically, the Georgia Guidestones said that there should only be 50 million people on the planet. 50 million people on the planet?
Mm-hmm.
What? On the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
The globalists want a small population. And they talk about, you know, taking care of the animals and this different stuff. So a lot of stuff that's in the Georgia Guidestones might be seen as population control, humanist things, like, you know, the animals are on the same level as us. Even though, as I mentioned in our last show, the covenant of the rainbow, God says that all these animals are there for us, to feed us. They should quiver when at the sight of us. In fact, many of them do. And that's the way God wanted it to be. And, you know, somebody blew them up. And then they destroyed them, plowed them away. So I think the right people in Georgia are taking more control.
50 million, huh?
50 million. Yeah, I could find it on my phone.
Oh, it's okay.
If you want to whap for a little bit, I can.
No, it's
I can read you the inscriptions that are on it. It's not that long.
It's a beautiful thing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, you talk for a second, I'll find it.
See, the thing with Chris, he's not passionate about things. We kid a lot, but the reality of it is he generally can back his statements up with facts and doesn't just do the old, in my opinion. He's got opinions, but he backs it up. So whether it's guns, whether it's Second Amendment, First Amendment, I like to hear what he has to say because he's on top of his game. He really is. So
I'm getting this stupid verification thing from Google search.
it's a beautiful thing. Incidentally, I don't know if I'm sure you can see it. That's one of Chris's tools sitting on the desk here. He's a believer, and he carries on a regular and sustained basis. Why don't you just kind of high spot it as best you can if you can't bring it up?
Yeah.
Technology is a beautiful thing when it works.
Here you go.
Go, man.
The guide stones are arranged on the highest peak in the county that they're in Georgia. And they are arranged like Stonehenge. And they're supposed to be guidance to humanity. Number one, maintain humanity under, 500 million. In perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely. So, population control, abortion, improving fitness and diversity. Diversity was in there. Unite humanity with a living new language. So, global government, they want one language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Meaning.
Tempered reason.
Yeah, meaning, we shouldn't.
One school of thought.
Yeah. Or don't,
Don't
be
challenge.
forgiving of the evil people.
And also don't challenge.
Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court.
Do you remember when Bush had the 1,000 points of light he was alluding to, which was basically one world government?
Yeah. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. How about we get rid of all officials and we can just live in anarchy? The federal government's job is to protect our borders. They're not doing that. That was one of the main reasons they were formed.
That's right.
And to regulate interstate commerce. Balance personal rights with social duties. So we're going to balance my personal right with the social duty because everybody feels afraid because of these mass shooters? No, we're not. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite.
With the what?
With the infinite.
Infinite.
Whatever that means.
So,
Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Those are the 10. That's almost like the 10 commandments.
no,
That's the 10 pieces of advice from the Georgia Guidestones. Now they've been destroyed, thank God. I don't think we should reduce the population to 500 million. We have currently, 7 billion people in the world?
sounds about right.
So you want to exterminate 6.5
Billion with a
people.
B. Nuclear war will do that.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll get a chance to see that.
Yeah. And the globalists won't get their way. So we're running out of time here. What else do you want to know about the Second Amendment?
I think that pretty much says it all.
Maura Healy doesn't believe that Bruin affects police chiefs' suitability law, part of the law. I believe there's no difference between that and proving needing a right. All you need is a police chief to not like you. Say, hey, Ron's a hothead. He isn't getting a gun. Minority Report, you've never committed a crime, they're going to take it away from you. They're going to take away your permit.
Beyond scary.
It is. It's insane. And there are police officers high up in the Worcester Police Department who are all for red flag laws. One of them was running for city council and was asked by one of my friends, if you were sent out to see someone's guns because there was a red flag done on them and they refused to cooperate, what would you do? And his response was, I'd do what the law expected me to do. Which is what? Kill the guy to take his guns? Because some person said he was a problem? Some person said he was a problem. Never in front of a judge. Nothing. And Richard Cipro's going to go out there and he's going to take you out. Well, actually, Richard Cipro is high up. He'd make some young, woke, rookie cop
Go out and do the dirty
do
work.
his bidding for him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and these are the people that we have in office. And he's gone off he replaced my cousin who retired as chief of staff of the Mass National Guard. So now he's in charge of all the staff at the Massachusetts National Guard.
Part of the plan.
Yeah.
Part of the plan.
They're going to send them around to round up everybody that they don't like at some point. No, we're not coming after anybody's guns, is what he said, when he wouldn't answer the question or where he stood on the law.
But what it really does, if I'm reading this properly, this gives a local police chief,
No, it gives your neighbor, Mrs. Kravitz next door that doesn't like you,
which is true.
or an ex-girlfriend, the right to go and say, I think he's a threat. Doesn't have to prove it in a court. Just say, I think he's a threat. Then the cops can look at that, and if they believe him, they can go take your guns.
And what I'm saying is, it gives the police the right to succeed the Constitution.
Yes,
That's my
and
point.
go around a due process.
And no head-
It violates due process.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people that buy into it.
Sure they do.
All right, thanks, Ron.
They're being inculcated.
And the whole time we were here, my gun didn't commit any
It
crimes.
didn't do anything.
Not one.
But you could see it shaking. It's thinking about it.
Yeah, it's twitchy.
Folks, I hope you learned something tonight. It's tough subjects, but have to be dealt with. Thank you for watching. We've got some really interesting shows coming up very shortly. Please continue to watch. Tell folks to give Activate Worcester a shot. Thank you very much for watching. And Chris, thank you for joining us as well.